I've been in parent mode, pastor mode, so just to complete that Holy Trinity, it's now preacher mode this morning, okay? So it's just a few minutes of your time. And I want to ask you, what is the best thing about you? Now, a lot of us, being British, probably find that a very awkward question to answer. We love a little bit of false humility, don't we, as Brits? So maybe I'll ask you this question. What is the worst thing about you? What is the worst thing about you? Perhaps it's something to do with your looks. Perhaps it's something to do with your personality. Perhaps it's something that you've only recently just realized. Perhaps it's something that has been playing over in your mind for years and years and years. If you're here with your partner, let me assure you they already know what your worst thing is. If you're struggling, why don't you just ask them and they may happily tell you. Just make sure you limit it to just one thing, okay? Let's not get too carried away. At the end of my first year of Bible college training, we had each year a report that went to our bishop. So it was a really important report. It told them how we were getting on, what we were up to, and kind of evaluating us. So at the end of my first year, this report was going to my bishop. It hit me hard when I read the opening line, which was this. On first impressions, Kieran comes across as a quiet, even slightly dour person. Look, I'm realistic, okay? I know that we can't all be the Owen Westalls of this world, okay? But, dour, an adjective meaning relentlessly severe, stern, or gloomy in manner or appearance. See also humorless, unsmiling, unfriendly, frowning, morose, sour, grim, mean-looking, and unsympathetic. Ouch. I probably don't need to tell you that struck right at the heart of my insecurities. Don't worry, we've prayed about it. It's all fine now. But I wonder if you have had names spoken about you. Names that you have said about yourself. You're ugly. You're useless. You are stupid. You can't get anything right. You are dour. Words, names that you have said, or names that have been said about you. Sometimes we forget how important names are. They have significance, they have meaning. It's wonderful this morning to be able to dedicate Ariel. Ariel's name, if you don't know, means Lion of God. Obviously, I quite like it, but I think it's a pretty cool name, if you ask me. Does anyone else know what their name is? Owen, do you know what your name is? Helpful Warrior. Helpful Warrior. Nice. Anyone? Jazz, what's yours? Gift from God. Very good. Anyone else know what theirs is? Yes, Rachel. Sheep. Nice. Very nice. Sheep. And Zachary, we also got to dedicate Zachary as well. Zachary's name means God remembers. God remembers. We are remembered by, loved by, and known by God. We just prayed as we were dedicating Zachary and Ariel. We thank you that we are known to you by name. I'm wondering if the screens are going to work for us. We've got some words from Psalm 139 that speak of how much we are remembered and known by God. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Another translation says, thank you that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You watched me as I was being formed. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. And in Isaiah 49:16, it says this: "See, I have written your name on the palms of my hands." We are all known to God by name, and he remembers us. My background, for those of you that don't know, is in psychology. And one study that I remember looking at was looking at social inclusion, so basically how groups work and how groups are formed and those kind of things. And one study that I remember looking at was looking at a group of boys. And within this group of boys, there was one child, one boy, who wasn't included in the group. He was picked on, he was excluded, he was kept on the outside of the group. And then one day, the researchers noticed that he was suddenly included in the group. He was a lot happier, he was joining in with the games and the jokes, and the researchers worked out the one thing that had changed. The one thing that had changed in that group is that the boy had been given a nickname. Now, I don't even know if it was a very nice nickname. You know what boys' nicknames for each other are in groups of friends. But he'd been given a nickname. He was present in that group. He was real. He mattered. He was included. He was seen. He was known. And he was remembered. He had a nickname, a name in that group, like all the others, had a name. When they knew his name, he was included. And this morning, it's very simple, but I just want to say that God knows your name. We are invited to be included and invited into God's family, into God's group. A number of times in the Bible, it tells us that through Jesus, we have a new identity as children of God. Like in 1 John 3, verse is going to come up on the screen. See how very much our Father loves us, for he calls us his children. And that is what we are. Our real identity, our real name is child of God. I don't know about you, but sometimes I often lose sight of that. Sometimes other things can get in the way. Sometimes those other names, like the worst thing about you, can get in the way that mean that we have forgotten that you are remembered, you are known, and you are loved by God. Many of us will have seen these images over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully they're going to come up from the James Webb telescope that NASA have released. I don't know about you, but they're images that I struggle to kind of comprehend what they're even showing us. If we skip to some of those other ones as well. The Bible tells us that this God who created this universe and the vastness of it also knows the number of hairs on your head. I apologize if that's a sore point for anyone. The God of the big, who is also just as much the God of the small. The God of the macro, who is also the God of the micro. The God of the infinite, who is also the God of the intimate. The God who does this, but who also remembers your name and has it written on his hands. This morning, as we celebrate and give thanks for Ariel and for Zachary, I pray that you may be reminded of that truth. And so I'm going to hand over to the band, and we're going to sing again as we head into worship. Now, I think both for Ariel and for Zachary, today would have come a lot sooner if it hadn't been for the last couple of years and that thing that we won't talk about. But there's also been lots of other celebrations that we've missed, lots of other gatherings that had to be put on hold or that didn't happen. So this morning, as we stand, as we begin to sing, I'm going to encourage the band to encourage us, encourage you to lift our voices for all those things that we want to give thanks to God for. Maybe it's a celebration, maybe it's something that's happened, maybe it's just the things on your heart this morning that you are thankful for and grateful for. Maybe it's just a reminder that you are seen and known by God by name, that you are a child of God. So can I encourage you, if you're willing and able, let's stand.